One of the biggest mistakes I see realtors and property managers make when leasing rental properties isn't taking bad photos or writing a poor listing description, although I certainly see plenty of that. It's waiting until applications start coming in before you decide who qualifies. I hear things like, let's see who applies first, or we'll decide when we look at the applicants, or we'll just pick the strongest applicant. Well, that approach is not just disorganized, it's a fair housing risk. It creates inconsistent decisions. It exposes your landlord to liabilities and can put your real estate license at risk. And beginning next year, July 1, 2027, Virginia laws go one step further. Landlords will be required to make their tenant screening criteria available before the applicant submits an application. If you don't already have those policies in place before marketing the property, you'll be behind before you even receive that first application. Before a property is ever listed for rent, every realtor and property manager should work with their landlord to establish a written tenant selection criteria. This document should be completed before marketing begins and should outline exactly how every application will be evaluated. Purpose is not to exclude people, it's to be consistent. When every applicant is measured against the same standards, you reduce fair housing risk, you improve transparency, and you create a much more defensible screening process if your decisions are ever questioned. Your written policy should answer questions such as what minimum household income is required. Can multiple applicants combine their income? What sources of income are acceptable? And then how will you verify and document that employment and that income? Also, is there a minimum credit score? And which credit reporting agency will be used? How will you evaluate collections, charge-offs, judgments, bankruptcies, or unpaid landlord debt? The key here is that these answers are determined before applications are received and not after. This is one of the areas where I see the most confusion. Housing decisions should never be based simply on someone having a background. HUD guidance and fair housing principles discourage blanket policies that automatically deny anyone with criminal history. Instead, your policy should focus on convictions, not arrests, and clearly define things like which convictions may be disqualifying, appropriate look-back periods, whether the offense presents legitimate concerns for things like resident safety or protection of the property. So for example, a landlord may determine that certain violent felony convictions within a defined period of time are disqualifying. That's very different from making a subjective decision after reviewing the application. And remember, an arrest is not the same as a conviction. Arrest records alone generally should not be used as the basis for denying housing. The next section of your screening policy that needs to be addressed is regarding pets. You need to include things like if there's any breed restrictions, if there's a weight limit, if there's a number of pet restriction, if you're going to add pet rent, if there's going to be extra pet fees, pet deposits that may be assessed, and if it's per pet or overall. And are you going to require vet records or local licensing to verify the animal? And also don't forget one of the most important fair housing rules. Assistance animals are not pets. So that means that they're also not subject to pet rent, pet deposits, breed restrictions, or weight limits. And your policy should clearly explain your process that you'll use to evaluate those reasonable accommodation requests so you stay compliant with fair housing when evaluating assistance animals. So the best tenant screening policy isn't the one that denies the most applicants. It's the one that's clear, it's consistent, and it's legally compliant and applied equally to every applicant. When your standards are established before marketing begins, you protect your landlord from unnecessary risk. You provide a fair and transparent process for applicants, and you protect the most valuable thing that you have as a realtor, your professional reputation and your license. I'm Tiffany Eisenhower with Freedom Property Management. If you're a Virginia Realtor or landlord looking for practical guidance on leasing properties legally and successfully, be sure to subscribe and follow our series.